Two men died from exposure in the forest while looking for Sasquatch. A man disrupts Christmas Eve masses by pouring whiskey into the holy water. And a man was arrested after exposing his genitals to a life insurance agent. These are the weird stories on Weird AF News, the only daily weird news podcast hosted by a comedian inside a closet. Here we go. Two men have died in the forest on Christmas Eve while out looking for Sasquatch. Died of what, embarrassment? What are you out looking for Sasquatch on Christmas Eve? What, do you not have a family? They probably have wives. Like, honey, I just love to spend a nice little quiet, quaint Christmas Eve drinking some cocoa next to the fire. What do you think? He's like, nah, woman, I'm going out with Barry. We're going to get famous finding the Yeti. Let's find out what they really found. Two men have died from exposure. Exposure to what? Sasquatch? Exposure to, I assume, the elements. These two men from Oregon were found dead in a Washington state forest after they failed to return from a trip to look for Sasquatch. We got a 59-year-old and a 37-year-old who have a combined IQ of 11, is my guess. They seem to have died from exposure, according to the Skamania County Sheriff's Office. The weather and the men's lack of preparedness led the office to draw this conclusion. Oh, this sounds like a cover-up for Sasquatch, if you ask me. You know, perishing from exposure is exactly what Sasquatch would want us to all think, right? So, and the sheriff's in on it, you know that, right? They don't pay them enough to arrest the Sasquatch, so it's like exposure, death by exposure. Pay no mind to all those dismembered limbs on the scene. These men were definitely looking for Sasquatch. I'm sure there's booze involved as well. And if you're out there wondering why Americans are obsessed with Sasquatch, Mothman, Slender Man, all manners of fantastical beasts, and a small percentage of them believe the earth is flat, I can only tell you this. In general, we're dumb. Yeah, you don't got to go any deeper than that. Okay, so it says here the two very intelligent men, these two fans of Joe Rogan, were found in a heavily wooded area of the Gifford-Pinchot National Forest, which is 150 miles northeast of Portland, Oregon, in case you're wondering. A family member reported them missing. Oh, they have family. Nice. I would have guessed that they didn't. It's hard to support family members that believe in the Sasquatch, though, isn't it? You know, all those, a lot of uncomfortable holiday get-togethers. Oh, here comes Benny. He's going to talk about how he found some footprints and poop in the woods last weekend. I gotta tell him I've been listening to his podcast and watched his YouTube videos. Oh boy, here we go again. At least my podcast is somewhat respectable. I mean, it's not the greatest either. I mean, I'm not. This isn't NPR over here. I'm not. I'm not. How do I put this? I'm not like winning awards for some highbrow journalism over here. That's definitely not what's going on. It says, anyways, they have family members who reported them missing at 1 a.m. on Christmas Day after they failed to return from Christmas Eve outing. I'm not reading how there's booze involved. There's definitely booze involved. Like, you don't go out on Christmas Eve in the woods looking for Sasquatch in your T-shirt and you're not on booze. A 60 volunteer search and rescue personnel helped in the 3-day search. Wow, imagine you and your stupid fantasy. You have to waste 60 volunteer search and rescue personnel and all the resources that go into that. During the holidays, these people have to go look for your dumb ass because you believe in Bigfoot. So stupid. You know, I'm okay with you being all stupid if it doesn't affect the rest of our pockets and time. But obviously it sometimes does. You know, like that guy that kept trying to fly up in the air to see if the earth was flat. Kept crashing down on people's property. I mean, that affects people. Your stupid ideas. It says here the search team also brought in canines and drones. The Coast Guard used infrared technology to search from the air. The Coast Guard brought in infrared technology to search from the air. They had to bring out the big technology, which is costly, because morons believe that there's a giant ape man. For some reason, we can't get on camera, although we all have a camera on us 24/7. No, there's just some kind of fuzzy photo from 1968 that everyone's still glomming onto as proof that this thing exists. Can't find a skeleton, though. Just can't do that. No. These morons freeze to death looking for a mythical beast. I mean, can you just imagine? There's probably idiots out there freezing to death looking for Santa at the North Pole. Morons drowning to death looking for Loch Ness Monster footprints on the seafloor. Well, this is a way to just sort of use natural selection to get the dummies out of here, Am I going too mean around the holidays? Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't have any empathy if you die looking for fictional creatures. I just have to hope that these guys, don't have kids and they haven't passed on their stupid Bigfoot hunting genes to some offspring. Although, probably, I mean, you can imagine Sasquatch hunters, probably virgins. Right? They're virgins. All right, so anyways, the Coast Guard found them with their infrared FLIR fancy technology as it scanned the area. Despite the challenging weather conditions, including freezing temperatures, heavy rain, and snow, all these employees had to get out there in these dangerous conditions to look for these stupid people, these stupid brains. The men were ultimately found dead, with initial reports indicating that exposure to the elements as the likely cause of death. Officials noted the difficult terrain and weather conditions combined with the men being ill-prepared as contributing factors. I'd love to know what they were wearing. Wife beaters? What was going on there? We have a quote here from the Skamania County Sheriff's Office that they expressed gratitude to the search and rescue teams. And then they said, quote, "This tragedy highlights the exceptional efforts of volunteers who sacrifice time during the holidays and work tirelessly in harsh conditions to bring closure to grieving families." Are they grieving? Some of them are, but then some of them are laughing, is my guess. Some of them are like, told you so. Are they grieving? Or are they laughing uproariously over the holiday turkey, over what just went down? I'm sure some of them could see it coming. They just know. They know what their family member's into. They're like not surprised at all. Everybody's got a family member that's just a little off the beaten path. We had them in my family too. I remember one of them in particular. Not the type of person that would go looking for fictional creatures out there, but definitely would eat the couch cushions when you weren't looking. A man was arrested and charged after pouring whiskey into the holy water during Christmas Eve services. Well, everyone's got a holiday tradition, all right? I'm not about to yuck his yum. You know what I mean? And by the way, since when is it a crime to make Christmas Eve service not boring? Am I right? Bless me, Johnny Walker. Let's keep reading and find out the details. I want to know, which church was it? And was it single malt? A Maryland man, this took place in Maryland. He was arrested and charged Thursday after authorities in St. Mary's County said he walked into a church's Christmas Eve midnight mass, poured whiskey into the holy water. Well, I don't see the big deal. Nobody complained when Grand Master Jesus turned that water into wine, so why the hubbub? This guy's just trying to make it fun. Now it's extra holy. Mwah-ha-ha-ha. This guy's name is Thomas Campbell Bowling Von Getz. What a name. What a highfalutin name. Thomas Campbell Bowling Von Getz. Do you know Thomas of the Von Getz family? Very, very into his whiskey. Brings it everywhere. Pours it into the fountain in the town square. And once in a while, we'll bring it to church and help everybody enjoy Mass much more. Yes, 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 yes. It says Thomas disrupted Mass at he went to 2 different churches in the county. Now he's really just trying to spread some joy, it sounds like. Hey, the devil's got to have hobbies. Are we sure this is not the devil himself just going around? Sounds like something the devil would do. He went to 2 different masses at different churches on Christmas Eve. The first was around 5 p.m. According to the sheriff's office, Von Getz entered the Holy Angels Catholic Church during Mass, approached the altar, dropped an onion in the aisle. An onion? The Holy Onion. I've never heard of this as part of the Christmas Eve Mass. Maybe... Then again, I didn't go too many times. Maybe I missed out on what the Holy Onion is. The sheriff's office also said that Von Getz was disturbing the peace of those in attendance. A congregant, never seen that word before, a congregant, then escorted him out of the church, but Von Getz was equipped with even more produce, and he was prepared to use it, according to the deputies. Wow, this guy's got produce weapons? What's he doing? He's got his own holy hand grenade in the form of a mango. Outside, Von Getz threw the following produce at the congregant. They use this congregant word. This congregant. You mean someone at the congregation is a congregant? Oh, I used to be a congregant. I'm glad I'm not anymore. I don't regret no longer being a congregant. Outside the church, Von gets through the following produce at the churchgoer. Tangerines. That's it. Just says tangerines. Dropped an onion in front of the altar and threw tangerines outside the church, which the sheriff's office say amounts actually to assault. You could actually assault people with produce, in case you don't know. And my guess is you can assault people with whiskey, which we're going to learn about those charges. I'm curious as to what they might be. It says later that Christmas Eve night. Okay, so he wasn't arrested following the tangerine assaulting. The drive-by fruiting, as was it Mrs. Doubtfire who said that? Later that Christmas Eve night, deputies say Von Getz went to midnight mass at St. Francis Xavier Catholic Church in Leonardtown. Once again, poured whiskey into the holy water, and this time threatened to harm the parishioners. Let's find out if he was armed with more produce, if he took a spin by Kroger. As congregants there escorted him out, Van Getz tried striking them with his whiskey bottle, according to the sheriffs. By that time, he probably drank a bit of that whiskey, I assume. He was extra excited and, ornery. Thank God he didn't have any more tangerines to throw at the congregants, because tangerines, as you know, are the gateway to honeydew melon violence, and we can't have that at the church, not on Christmas Eve. It says the parishioners were able to detain Von Getz. Funny, they've changed it from congregants to parishioners halfway through the story. I'm grateful for the change. It's easier to say. Parishioners were able to detain Von Getz until the deputies arrived. He was then transported to a hospital for some medical evaluation. Thursday, the sheriff's office charged Von Getz with several crimes, including assault, disorderly conduct, threat of mass violence. That's funny. Threat of mass violence. Yeah, because that's like a pun. Did they even know that they did that? That's hilarious. Also, defacing religious property. So I'm assuming that's from the onion and the whiskey being poured into the holy vessel. I don't know what they call that thing where this guy poured the whiskey into the holy water vessel. Just trying to make a holy roller hot toddy. I've had those before. Very good. The funny thing is people don't drink that. They just touch it with their fingers and put it on their heads. So, I don't know. I assume he's aware. He seems like a regular churchgoer. He must be aware that they don't drink that water. They just put two fingers in, or one finger, and touch it on your head. Maybe he was just he thought it was a big gag. Just going to give everybody whiskey fingers on Christmas. That was a big joke for him. Forehead smelling like whiskey. Oh, there's a few more charges here. Defacing religious property. Religious crime against a group. Never heard of that one. Obstructing a religious exercise. Never heard of that one as well. So they just put the word religious in there, and I think you get more penalties for that. Although you really shouldn't be charged any more. These are tax dollars that go towards your processing, and the churches don't even pay into those taxes. So why should they get, more bang for their no buck? I ask these questions on Weird AF News, and I'm right to do so. All right, well, Von Getz is being held for an appearance. We'll have to do a follow-up story and find out what happened to him. All of this is makes me just want to go back to church, man. It really does. It was never this exciting when I went.
When you check out at the pharmacy, you see the journey from idea to medicine, thanks to our intellectual property system, or IP for short. IP safeguards inventions, like a new way to prevent seizures or lower cholesterol. And IP supports competition from other brands, then lower cost generics, which are 90% of prescriptions filled in the U.S. Innovation, competition, lower costs, thanks to IP. Learn more at phrma.org/IP-workswonders.
A man was arrested after exposing his genitals to a life insurance agent. Wow, this is nuts. And very ballsy of him, if I may. Stories out of Missouri. A Sedalia, Missouri man is once again behind bars after he allegedly exposed his genitals to a life insurance agent as he attempted to apply for a life insurance policy. How does that even happen? Can I use these as a down payment? Sir, I said we need your medical records. We don't need to see that. Oh, come on, man. You look and tell me, do these look like the balls of a 55-year-old man? I'm in good condition. All right, let's get some more details about why this man took out his genitalia while applying for life insurance. It says he has a record, so I'm going to guess he's done this before. Probably took his genitals out at the DMV at some point, I'd imagine. Although, yeah, I'm not going to lie. When I'm at the DMV, it's like hell, and all I want to do is get out of there as soon as possible. I'm not above taking out my genitalia to cut the line. All right, it says here, our wonderful man that likes to take out his balls, Antonio Murphy, age 37. Records were filed on Christmas Day, December 25th, charged in connection with a sexual crime. They indicated that around 11 p.m. on Christmas Eve, law enforcement officials were called to a local life insurance business with reports that a possible client had exposed his genitals. What kind of insurance business is open at 10:55 p.m. on Christmas Eve? This sounds like a front for something else. And a life insurance office opened 11 p.m. on Christmas Eve? Christmas Eve. Something fishy's going on here. Now, the victim told first responders that Murphy had come to the office to apply for life insurance. As he applied for the policy, the victim briefly left her office and returned to find his genitals exposed. All right. Well, those premiums are expensive, so maybe he's trying to just get an adjustment there on the premium. This is awful. Really, it's a female. Yeah, not okay. We know what's going on here. Sex offender is what's going on. Law enforcement officials say Murphy was found at his home and arrested. Probably put his address and phone number on the life insurance application as well, like an idiot. During the course of the investigation, it was also found that he had been a repeat sexual offender. Oh, that's great. What's he doing out and about on Christmas? This says Murphy is listed on the Missouri Sex Offender Registry for a similar charge he was convicted of in 2020. He was also found guilty of 2 counts of sexual misconduct in Johnson County in 2021 and was arrested for sexual harassment in February 2024. Why is this guy out? Can someone please make this understandable for me? You have 2 counts of sexual conduct in 2021. 2 this year. He was convicted in 2020. Nope. Just out and about with his genitals. Genitals can be outside, apparently. This man's genitals and himself and his brain. You can't have people like this out and about, man. What the hell? It's so stupid. I just don't get it. When a man shows you who he is, believe him. Really, believe him. And when he shows you who he is down there between his legs, put him somewhere away from citizens. I mean, this isn't rocket science.
Bored with your boring cardio? Stop pedaling that snooze cycle to Nowheresville and try some cardio that's actually fun. Supernatural Fitness, available on MetaQuest. Isn't that right, Jane Fonda?
Cardio will never be boring again.
Sweat to the beat of thousands of chart-topping songs inside stunning virtual landscapes.
Bet your stationary bike can't do that.
Visit GetSupernatural.com and join the next fitness revolution. Supernatural VR Fitness, only on MetaQuest. Rated T for Teen.
Hey, my friends, my loyal listeners, my pals and loved ones, thank you for joining me for this episode of Weird AF News. I hope you had an amazing weekend. Hope you enjoyed that Florida Friday episode as well. I think it was a doozy. Just to give you a little programming schedule of what's going to go on this week, I'm still going to be posting episodes during the New Year's. I'm going to be doing a Best of 2024 2-part episode on January 1st and 2nd. They'll each be about an hour, and they'll have the stories that I believe are the weirdest of 2024. Not just myself, but my intern, Alex, helped me curate this list of best of weirdest news stories from Weird AF News from 2024. So yeah, me and Alex put it together, and I'll put that out on the 1st and 2nd. So there will be episodes every day this week, no fear. And then on Friday, of course, we'll do the Florida Friday episode. But yeah. Also want to let you know that I was just a guest on my buddy Adam Macias's podcast, That Was Wild podcast, which I've mentioned before on this show. This was the second time I've been a guest. And we did on his show a wrap-up of the wildest stories of 2024. And that's available on YouTube and Spotify and all podcast players. That Was Wild podcast. I highly recommend it. For those of you who are members of the Patreon, I posted a link to that full YouTube video today, so it's in there if you want to give that a look. It's about an hour. Very good show. wrapping up the wildest stories of 2024. There's very little overlap between what Adam believed were the wildest stories of 2024 and what I believe is the wildest stories of 2024, so you won't get any repeats on mine. His was a little bit more political. I don't really get that political on here, thankfully. I mean, once in a blue moon, yeah, but for the most part, no. Anyways, I'll let you go. If you want to email me anything, it's funnyjones@gmail.com, and my Instagram's @funnyjones if you'd like to follow what I got going over the New Year's. And then if you'd like to contribute to Weird AF News before the New Year's, then go to my website, weirdafnews.com, where you can buy me a coffee or join the Patreon. And with every individual that makes a contribution, our buddy Michael from Iowa City will donate $1. So, as he's done the last few years, it's the holiday Weird AF News push that Michael from Iowa City likes to get going, and we're grateful for that. At least I'm grateful for him and for that as well. So, yeah, go to weirdafnews.com, and good luck with your life, man.